Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our hadith class. We are doing the kitab known as Riyaadhus Saaliheen of Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah. And tonight, inshallah ta'ala, we are going to start the 201st hadith from this kitab. So let's begin without extra delays. Bismillahi walhamdulillahi wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. So the chapter that we are still dealing with is the chapter with regards to fulfilling one's trusts, and that is which we had begun last week, and we are continuing on from this week. So to begin, we read here وعن حذيفة بن اليمان رضي الله عنه قال حدثنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم حديثين قد رأيت أحدهما وأنا أنتظر الآخر. Hazrat Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman radiyallahu anhu, he said, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam narrated to us two ahadith. I have seen one of them take place already. وَأَنَا أَنْتَظِرُ الْآخَرِ. I'm waiting for the second one. In other words, it's prophecies of things to come. Now one has already come into effect, and I'm now just waiting for the second one to come through. So he says, حدثنا أن الأمانة نزلت في جذر قلوب الرجال. He says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that amana, that that trustworthiness, Allah had sent it down fi jadri qulubi rijal, into the innermost recesses of the hearts of people. ثم نزل القرآن. Then Allah revealed the Quran. فعلموا من القرآن وعلموا من السنة. So after the Quran, they learned the Quran, they learned part of the Quran, and they learned part of the Sunnah. ثم حدثنا عن رفع الأمانة. Then after that, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam informed us about how amana will be removed. فقال ينام الرجل النوم فتقبض الأمانة من قلبه فيظل أثرها مثل الوقت. He says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a man will go to bed. ينام الرجل النوم. He just goes to sleep. فتقبض الأمانة من قلبه. And amana, this amana that Allah had sent down into the innermost recesses of a person's heart, it gets removed from the person's heart. Not fully, but فيظل أثرها مثل الوقت. And what remains behind is like a spot. It's like the amana as a whole is removed, but the spot of amana is still left behind. ثم ينام النومة فتقبض الأمانة من قلبه فيظل أثرها مثل أثر المجل كجمر دحرجته على رجلك فنفط فتراه منتبرا وليس فيه شيء. So he says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, then a person will go to sleep again. So at first time, amana was removed and a spot was left behind. Then he goes to bed a second time, and amana is again removed from his heart, and what remains behind is like mithla athar al majl, like the effect of a blister. The example of what is a majal is now being explained in the hadith. Kajamrin, like a coal, tahrajtahu ala rijlika, like you move the coal with your foot, you kicked it out of the way. Fanafita fatarahu muntabiran wa laysa fihi shay. And your skin blisters, you think that it is filled with water, wa laysa fihi shay, but in reality there's nothing in it. ثم أخذ حصاة فدحرجه على رجله. So then he says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while saying this, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam took a pebble and moved it, moved it to the side with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's foot, to give the example of how it would be that you move a coal to the side with your foot. It's like you brush it quickly to the side, but the coal is so hot that the second it touches your skin, it causes a blister. I mean, if you've ever been burnt by you cooking over the stove and a spot of oil jumps out of the pot and it hits you, it causes a blister. So that sort of blister from touching a coal with your foot, now you look at and your skin swells up, and fatarahu muntabiran. Now you look at it and you seeing it that it's protruding. It's like it must be full with something. You want to pop it now, and then you feel liquid will come out. But What happens is when you do pop it, then walaysa fihi shay. But in reality, there's nothing inside it. It's just skin which has risen up. In other words, the example is being given that in the first case, there was a spot. Here, you think there's something. It's even smaller, smaller than a spot. The likeness of a blister where you think there's something inside it, but it's absolutely empty. So in other words, you will think that you have amana, but in reality, there'll be no amana within you. That's what it's basically coming down to in a nutshell. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam continued, فَيُصْبِحُ النَّاسُ يَتَبَايَعُونَ. And the people will now, they'll trade, they engage in buying and selling in this manner. فلا يكاد أحد يؤدي الأمانة حتى يقال إن في بني فلان رجلا أمينا. He says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, people will engage in buying and selling, and it will the people will be so few and far between that will fulfill their trusts, to the point that the people will say, in such and such a tribe, there's a man who is upright, a person who's trustworthy. I mean, let us be honest. We see this blatantly, as blatant as can be in today's world, that today, when you see it, it becomes a thing of amazement. There was a video that, somebody had a while back, a man coming and he's selling something, and then he weighs out the packet. Normally people just put the packet on there and then fill it up, but he weighs the packet so that gram that the packet weighs, he don't rob you of that little bit. So now it's become like the man say he do it for the sake of Allah. He's not answerable for other people, but this is the law of Islam, and he follows it. So to the point that now it's like, wow, viral video, because how rare it is that you get a person who actually fulfills his amana to this degree. Other people will say, hey, you're going extreme. There's no need to go so overboard. That's how it has become. So that's what Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam say, that it will reach the point where a person will say, so and so there, I hear there's a man there, he's trustworthy. You see this when you deal in different spheres of life, and one of the most common spheres in this regard is with regards to cars and mechanics. And people say, you don't get a mechanic who is trustworthy. If he don't lie to you and say he's done something, he may take out some parts from your car and give you old parts. So he say, yes, I changed your spark plugs. In reality, he didn't do it because you wouldn't know better. Or he puts in old plugs for you, and it's like, I put the latest one, and things of that sort. And it's become so commonplace that a person will say, I put in brand new, but in reality he didn't. So it is from that amana. Amana don't mean that somebody has given you 2,000 rand and later on you must just give it back to him. That's part and parcel of it. It's not everything. So amana is that a person can trust you 100% in every way. Whether he tells you this is an amana or not, you must be so trustworthy and uprighteous in your own self. But in any case, so Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that it will carry on in this manner, that so and so there's a man who's trustworthy. حتى يقال للرجل ما أجلده ما أظفره ما أعقله ما أظرفه ما أعقله. That carrying on, now not in regards to his trustworthiness, but people will say, hey, that man, how strong is he, how smart is he, like he's intelligent, he's clever, and we see it even in today's world. Even though the hadith don't specifically put what this is referring to, but it can be a person who's physically strong and things like that, or it can be taken with regards to business as well. Because when you have a person and he's got the glib tongue, he got the gift of the gab, as they say, so he'll sell you ice in winter, people of the sort. And then people say, hey, that's now a businessman, that's how you must be. Why? Because with his glib tongue, he sells you something that you don't need. He's a snake oil salesman, as it would be said in the old days. There, when you are in the dry gulch in America, cowboy times, and you a man come along with snake oil. If you use this, it will cure every ailment you have in the whole world. That sort of thing. And then you spin a tale so much that people believe you. So people will say in today's world, when you have a person, he's gone bankrupt 4 5 times. In reality, he hasn't gone bankrupt. He uh, ran away with the money. He declared bankruptcy so that the millions he's got stashed under the bed, nobody's going to ask him about it. Then people say, that's when you are a real businessman. Hey, and people speak like this. And that is what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also tells us. They say how intelligent he is, how smart is he, how strong is he. He's a strong businessman. He gets his way. Other people you can take it from another angle. A man come in, he drives a hard bargain, things of the sort. I mean, you can have 1,001 different examples that we see on a daily basis, which is what people are actually saying. That when you have the person who lies to you, who sells things with a tail, the this and that, and people believe it and they lap up every word and things. People say, you're just jealous. But in reality, what Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, وَمَا فِي قَلْبِهِ مِثْقَالُ حَبَّةٍ مِّنْ خَرْدَلٍ مِّنْ إِيمَانٍ. So as much as the people are saying, he's so strong, he's so clever, he's so intelligent, but in reality, there is not a mustard seed's worth of iman in his heart. He's got no iman. People may look up to him as being the top, the top G, but in reality, there's no iman in him. Now, Hazrat Hudhayfa radiallahu anhu, he continues on and he says, وَلَقَدْ أَتَى عَلَيَّ زَمَانٌ وَمَا أُبَالِي أَيُّكُمْ بَايَعْتُ. He said, Hazrat Hudhayfa radiallahu anhu, he said that there was a time when I didn't bother who I dealt with in my transactions. لَإِنْ كَانَ مُسْلِمًا لَيَرُدَّنَّهُ عَلَيَّ دِينُهُ. If the person was a Muslim that I was dealing with, then because of his deen, because of the fact that he followed Islam, he would fulfill his rights towards me, the amana and everything like this. Yeah, his adherence to the deen would make certain that he fulfills it. وَلَإِنْ كَانَ نَصْرَانِيًّا أَوْ يَهُودِيًّا لَيَرُدَّنَّهُ عَلَيَّ سَاعِيهِ. And if the man was a Jew or a Christian that I had dealt with, then he don't have religion that's going to cause him to fulfill his amana towards me. But he's sa'i. Sa'i means like his ruler, the one who's over him. So yeah, the subject may come and this peasant here and he didn't pay you, and you can go to his master, to his ruler, to his the one who's in charge over there, and that one will take the money and return it to you. So Hadar Hudhayfa radiallahu anhu, he said there was a time when there was no issue in business. If it was a Muslim, his deen would make him fulfill it. If he was a Jew or Christian and he didn't fulfill it for whatever reason, I could go, I had a means to get my money, which was I'd go to the one who's above him, and that one would end up taking the money and giving it to me. So, it was like there was no issue. But he says, وَأَمَّا الْيَوْمِ فَمَا كُنْتُ أُبَايِعُ مِنْكُمْ إِلَّا فُلَانًا وَفُلَانًا متفق عليه. Hazrat Hudhayfa radiallahu anhu said, but as for today, I don't trade except with so and so and so and so. In other words, it's like the rest. Now he obviously he's not saying literally everybody, but he's saying that there's so many people around who's doing trades. I don't know everybody, but the thing is that there are so many people who are untrustworthy that I rather just stick to these handful of people that I trade with because I know they are trustworthy, they are uprighteous, they are reliable, and things of the sort. And it actually works like that in different aspects of life. In business, you can't deal with somebody who's untrustworthy, who's unreliable, and things of the sort. For example, you work in the repair industry. So you take in power tools to repair, you take it to somebody to repair your power tool, and instead he runs away with it. So, different things. You can apply it across the board. There's so many different ways it applies in our daily lives. And it is from the signs of Qiyamah that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us about. Now, the hadith is reported by Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim, rahimahumullah. Imam An-Nawawi, rahimahullah, he goes on now to explain certain of the words. He says, قوله جذر بفتح الجيم وهو أصل الشيء, meaning جذر قلب الرجال, جذر قلوب الرجال at least. The jadr that was being referred to means the asl, the essence. That's why I said the inner recesses of the heart. والوقت الأثر اليسير. A waqt is a small mark, a spot, in other words. والمجل وهو تنفط في اليد ونحوها من أثر عمل وغيره. Majl is the, that like a mark, a spot which blows up on a person's hand, etc., on account of work and so on and so forth. For example, if you've ever taken a pick and you've started digging a grave outside, by the end of the day, your hands are full of blisters. So that is because of the amal, the work that you're doing, it causes blisters on your hand. So that is a majal. Muntabiran, murtafi'an. Muntabiran means you see it as being something raised. Sa'ihi, yeah, means the alwali alayhi, the one who is over him. That one that has authority over him, in other words. Okay, moving on further, we move on now to the next hadith, once again from Hadrat Hudayfa ibn al-Yaman radiyallahu anhu. And that's the thing, whenever you look at the hadith of Hadrat Hudayfa radiyallahu anhu, it's all of a particular genre for the most part. The genre of the hadith of Hadrat Hudayfa radiyallahu anhu is with regards to alamatul qiyamah, the signs of qiyamah, the fitan and things of this sort. So this hadith is وعن حذيفة وأبي هريرة رضي الله عنهما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. This hadith is reported both by Hadrat Hudayfa radiyallahu anhu as well as Hadrat Abu Huraira radiyallahu anhu. So both of them, they said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, يجمع الله تبارك وتعالى الناس فيقوم المؤمنون حتى تزلف لهم الجنة فيأتون آدم عليه السلام صلوات الله عليه فيقولون يا أبانا استفتح لنا الجنة فيقول وهل أخرجكم من الجنة إلا خطيئة أبيكم لست بصاحب ذلك اذهبوا إلى ابن إبراهيم خليل الله عليه السلام. Okay. The famous hadith, just people may have heard it with different wordings. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala will gather all of people, meaning on the day of Qiyamah. فَيَقُومُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, and the people, the Muslims will stand, حتى تزلف لهم الجنة. The Muslims will stand in a particular place and Jannah will be brought close towards them. فيأتون آدم. Now they're seeing Jannah over there and it's like, hey, I need to get me, I'm not sure if I'm on the train to Jannah. Let me get myself, get away, speak with someone who can make sure, book me a ticket, so to speak, to put it in a cruder sort of way. But anyway, so they will come to Hadrat Adam alayhi salam and they will say, oh, our father, oh Hadrat Adam alayhi salam, istaftih lana al-Jannah. Ask from Allah that Allah opens Jannah up for us. In other words, istaftih, seek for Jannah to be open for us. You are the Nabi of Allah. You have positioned by Allah. Ask that Allah should enter us into Jannah. In other words, they come for shafa'ah to Hadrat Adam alayhi salam. And Hadrat Adam alayhi salam replies, وَهَلْ أَخْرَجَكُم مِّنَ الْجَنَّةِ إِلَّا خَطِيئَةُ أَبِيكُم. And it is from the humility of all of the Anbiya. Hadrat Adam alayhi salam, he says that it was only because of the error of your father that expelled you from Jannah in the first place. لَسْتُ بِصَاحِبِ ذَلِكَ. I can't intercede for you. In other words, it's almost like I myself am leading intercession. I can't help you. So اذهبوا إلى ابن إبراهيم خليل الله عليه السلام. But here's the thing. Once again, being helpful as well. So Hadrat Adam alayhi salam say, I can't, that's not for me to do such a thing. I'm worried about my nafsi. I'm concerned about myself. But you know what? I won't leave you in the lurch. So I'll send you to somebody else. So go to my son, Hadrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. He is Khalilullah, the friend of Allah. قال فيأتون إبراهيم عليه السلام فيقول إبراهيم لست بصاحب ذلك إنما كنت خليلا من وراء اعمدوا إلى موسى الذي كلمه الله تكليما. So they will come to they'll come to Hadrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, and the Hadrat Ibrahim alayhi salam will say, I can't do that. That's not me. In other words, I don't have the ability to ask for you to be entered into Jannah. I have my own issues. So إنما كنت خليلا من وراء. It's like, that was a long time ago when I was called Khalilullah. And this is again from the humility of Hadrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. He's not saying he's not Khalilullah. He's saying that I was Khalilullah on this earth. He was Khalilullah in Barzakh as well. He's Khalilullah in Jannah. But it's like another narration puts it, different thing that Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam mentions. But nonetheless, it's like, I don't know where I stand today. So, rather go to somebody else. Go to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, that Allah had spoken directly to him. وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا. So go to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. فَيَأْتُونَ مُوسَى فيقولوا لست بصاحب ذلك اذهبوا إلى عيسى كلمة الله وروحه. So they come to Hadrat Musa alayhi salam, and Hadrat Musa alayhi salam also, he says, that's not me. I can't intercede for you. Go to Hadrat Isa alayhi salam. He is Kalimatullah and Ruhullah. That's his titles now. Go to him. فيقول عيسى لست بصاحب ذلك. Then they'll come finally to Hadrat Isa alayhi salam, and Hadrat Isa alayhi salam, he'll also say that that's not me. I can't help you. Hadrat Isa alayhi salam is very worried on account of the fact that the Christians had been worshipping him and said that he said you must worship him and things. Even though Hadrat Isa alayhi salam is absolutely free of all of this, and he never made such a statement in his life. But yet Allah tells us in the Quran, أَأَنْتَ قُلْتَ لِلنَّاسِ اتَّخِذُونِي وَأُمِّيَ إِلَهَيْنِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. That Allah tells us about the conversation that Allah will have with Hadrat Isa alayhi salam. Did you tell the people to take me and my mother as gods besides Allah? We know Hadrat Isa alayhi salam never said it, and Allah tells us that Hadrat Isa alayhi salam will say, he would never say such a thing, and it's the lies that the Christians made up. But nonetheless, so he will say that I can't help you, nafsi nafsi. So the other narration mentions, that's where nafsi nafsi come from. It doesn't, narration don't mention it, but it's the same incident. فَيَأْتُونَ مُحَمَّدًا صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. So then eventually, after having gone through Nabi to Nabi until they come to Hadrat Isa alayhi salam, and after he turning them down for shafa'ah, they will come now to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. فَيَقُومُ فَيُؤْذَنُ لَهُ. And then they will stand, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam will stand. They'll come to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam will accept on their behalf to go and ask Allah for them to be able to enter Jannah. فَيَقُومُ فَيُؤْذَنُ لَهُ وَتُرْسَلُ الْأَمَانَةُ وَالرَّحِمُ. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam will stand up, and permission will be granted to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And then amana and rahim, that trustworthiness, that reliability, and rahim. Rahim here refers to not rahma, but rahim, which is the ties, family ties. So family ties and amana will come, and it will stand there as well. فتقومان جنبتي الصراط يمينا وشمالا فيمر أولئكم فيمر أولكم كالبرق قلت بأبي وأمي أي شيء كمر البرق. Okay, so Amana and Rahim, trustworthiness and family ties, they'll stand on the two sides of the Sirat. The Sirat, the Pul Sirat, as it said in Urdu. The Sirat is that bridge which is over Jahannam, which is thinner than a hair and sharper than a blade. So the Amana and family ties will stand on the two sides. In other words, if you messed with Amana and you messed with family ties, you're not crossing that sirat. That's why they're standing there for that particular reason. It's like, I know him. That's the criminal. He's the one that used to break family ties. Family ties will say, he broke me. And Allah will break your back on that day. But anyway, فَيَمُرُّ أَوَّلُكُمْ. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says that the first of you will travel over the sirat kal-barq. You'll fly like, you'll cross it like the speed of lightning. And then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam takes an oath, بِأَبِي وَأُمِّي أَيُّ شَيْءٍ كَمَرِّ الْبَرْقِ. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that I take an, may my father and my mother and father be sacrificed. Have you, what is there that is as fast as lightning? We know you can call it speed of light, speed of sound, etc., etc. So here, when you're talking, he's as fast as lightning. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is saying, as fast as lightning, you'll be across the sirat. So you're here, and before the lightning is faster than the flash than the blink of the eye by far. So in less than a blink of an eye, and you're across on the other side. قال ألم تروا كيف يمر ويرجع yeah. ألم تروا كيف يمر ويرجع في طرفه عين في طرفة عين. Then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam say, have you not seen how lightning flashes and disappears in the blink of an eye? In other words, in the time it takes you to blink, lightning has already come and gone. So if you're talking about crossing, it's like a fraction of that time. I mean, yeah, people today when they jotting down a speed of light versus speed of sound and all things of the sort, then you can look what is the actual speed of lightning itself. But it gives you it's unanimous along the whole world that lightning is something which is incredibly fast. So ثم كمر الريح. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, so the first ones will cross as fast as lightning. Then the next ones, كمر الريح, they'll cross like a wind. And the wind blows, you get in today's world, what's the wind speed? Wind speed is 30 kilometers, 60 kilometers. Oh, we're going to have gale force and things of this sort. So there are speeds of wind, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is obviously speaking about something which is fast, thus saying as fast as the wind. I'm as fast as the wind. Nobody means I'm like that slow, heavy, sluggish breeze. Not like that. But nonetheless, so a fast wind. ثم كمر الطير. Then like a bird. You see a bird jump out of one tree and fly across to another tree. It flits across the sky, so it moves quite fast. So in different speeds. وأشد الرجال تجري بهم أعمالهم. And then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that وأشد الرجال تجري بهم أعمالهم, that ونبيكم قائم على الصراط يقول ربي سلم سلم. Okay, so the speed that a person will cross the Sirat will be the in other words, what makes it that somebody will go as fast as lightning and the next one like wind and the next one like a bird and the next one like a person who runs and someone who crawls and things like this, as the other narration mentions. The point being is that according to the extent of your deeds. So if you come there with a clean slate, you are the lightning and you are cross. And if you come there with the like the worst of people, you going to be the type who's going to crawl, slip, fall into Jahannam, that sort of thing. So you cross according to the your deeds. In other words, it's what is your fuel that will take you across. But despite that, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam tells us, and your Rasul, meaning Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, will be standing at the Sirat saying, Allah, Rabbi Sallim Sallim. Oh Allah, grant him, protect him, don't let him fall into Jahannam now, and things of the sort. حتى تعجز أعمال العباد حتى يجيء الرجل لا يستطيع السير إلا زحفا. Okay, so before our time runs out, we just got a notification now that Zoom will cut out shortly. So let me just speed up a little bit. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam say that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam personally will be standing there asking, oh Allah, grant him protection, protect him, don't let him fall in. And it will reach a point, تعجز أعمال العباد, when people will run out of fuel. In other words, their actions will be too few. They did too little good deeds. So their deeds are not enough to take them across the Sirat. حتى يجيء الرجل. So much so that the man will come, it will reach the point that the man will come. لا يستطيع السير إلا زحفا. That a man will come and he won't be able to cross it except زحفا. He'll crawl, he'll drag himself across. وفي حافتي الصراط كلاليب معلقة مأمورة بأخذ من أمرت به فمخدوش ناج ومكردس في النار والذي نفس أبي هريرة بيده إن قاعر جهنم ل70 خريفا. رواه مسلم. Okay, so nonetheless, we now okay on the حافتي الصراط, on either side of Jahannam. You know that Amana and what's the thing? Family ties will be standing on the two sides as well. But besides that, they are there as bystanders. What's actually part of the Sirat are hooks. There will be hanging hooks on the sides of the Sirat. The hooks have been commanded to grab and hook certain people. فَمَخْدُوشٌ نَاجٍ. There will be some people who will be scratched, but they'll be they'll be saved. So it's like think of it as going through a place which is sharp, thorny, etc. So you get a prick here and a prick there and a cut here and a cut there. So you're trying to get across and you're being pulled by the hooks on the side of the sirat. So it cuts you, it pulls at you, you suffer injuries and things, but nonetheless, najin, you are saved at the end of the day. You manage to make it across. وَمُكَرْدَسٌ فِي النَّارِ. And the other category will be those who will they won't be able to cross. The hook will pull him and cast him into Jahannam. So some people will be scratched but go across, but others will be dragged and pulled into Jahannam itself. And then Hadrat Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu, he takes an oath and he says that I take an oath by Allah in whose control is the life of Hadrat Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu, that verily the depth of Jahannam, the depth of the pit of Jahannam, so to speak, is sab'una kharifa, a distance of 70 years. In other words, you're going to fall from the Sirat, and the distance that it will take you to fall into Jahannam is a distance of 70 years worth of falling just to reach into Jahannam itself. قول رواه مسلم. إمام مسلم رحمه الله reports the hadith. قوله وراء معناه لست بتلك الدرجة الرفيعة وهي كلمة تذكر على سبيل التواضع. So explaining the word of Hadrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he said wara'a, he says, Imam Nawawi explains this, he says, what Hadrat Ibrahim alayhi salam is saying, that, I'm not on that high level that like you are saying, but he says that this is a statement of Hadrat Ibrahim alayhi salam out of humility. He literally is on that level and higher, but all of the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam, including Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, had the utmost amount of humility. That's why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, don't ascribe greater virtue to me over the other Anbiya, etc. But in reality, Khairul Bashar is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So obviously Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the greatest of all of mankind, of all of creation, in fact. But nonetheless, the point being is that each of these Anbiya that say nafsi, nafsi, that turn the people away, is not because they are guilty of any sin or any flaw or any crime, but it is because of humility that each of them hold back from interceding. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who has been given this honor of being the intercessor on that day, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam will then intercede for the people. Nonetheless, that's the end of the hadith. We'll stop on this point here for tonight, inshallah ta'ala, before our time runs out. I know I've taken up too much of your time as it is, but that being said, we end for tonight, inshallah ta'ala. Until next time, wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.